Alright, now for the XSR-900. The new bike from Yamaha. This is pretty sweet. I have prefaced this by saying I have ridden an FZ09, so I have ridden the same engine. So I'm not expecting this to be too much different than that. But it's way cooler. Because it's cooler, because of the styling. It's different. It's actually a lot taller than I thought it'd be. I expected it to be a little lower, but it's definitely very sort of scrambler-esque. Wow! A mode. Jesus Christ. Holy Jesus. That's a 900 triple. Oh, very jerky throttle, but it's also an A mode, not standard. Lord Almighty. It's a fast bike. So yeah, XSR, alright. I've ridden this engine, like I said, I've ridden this engine before on the FZ09, so I've done it before, but geez, it's fast. It's quick. Still feels insane. Like, just, I don't even know how a 900 is like this, but it is. It's mean as hell. Cool instrument cluster, also kind of small and compact and tight compared to, say, the Gladius that has a full analog gauge and everything. But this one, I do kind of like how it has the rounded around cap that goes around it. That's kind of cool. Obviously has the rider modes. I'm in A right now for full throttle potential. Interesting. I mean, it doesn't feel like in the long run it'd be that comfortable. The seat's pretty hard, which makes sense. It's kind of a scrambler looking kind of thing, so it kind of makes sense. It doesn't feel like it might be that comfortable in the long run, but it's not too bad. Like I said, it's taller than I expected it to be. Effortless throttle. Effortless. It's a beautiful bike, by the way. Just in person, this is the first time I think I've actually seen one in person, and it's a beautiful bike. It is. And the fact that it has all this modernness to it is great. Like the rider modes, the full digital tack, to me it's an amazing combination of the retro feel, style, look with the modern upgrades and updates. It does feel pretty well planted to the ground. Like I said, the suspension is definitely a little more up to the standards in terms of firmness than, say, the FZ07. It definitely has more of an FZ09-esque, and maybe even better than that, I don't know, feel to the suspension. Definitely a little tighter, a little less loosey-goosey than the FZ07, which is nice as far as I'm concerned. I like the slightly better suspension because I prefer to have that performance. So suspension is a nice touch. We'll see how it does cornering wise, but at least in terms of the straight line riding down a bumpy road feeling, it does have a pretty solid street sporty suspension. Yeah, that definitely feels a lot better in the corner. I mean, that wasn't a high-speed corner by any means, but it definitely feels a little more inspiring than the FZ07 does. In terms of that performance, like I said, more aligned with the FZ09, which makes sense, as they're based on the same bike, same engine, blah blah blah. It makes sense that it would be a little more sporty and a little more performance oriented. This is a bike I could have. To me, it's all the fun and excitement and power of the XSR-9 with a little bit more, not mundane, that's the wrong word, but a little more sort of tuned back and classic styling to it. But this just has a slightly different, more laid back feeling to it to me. You don't feel as, you know, super aggressive, crazy, like the styling on the XSR-7 and so, or XSR-9. It just feels a little more laid back than that, and a little more classic, which I kind of like. I love how it still has all the performance aspects and so forth of the XSR-9, but it's just in a slightly different tuned back package with that classic styling. It looks great. So I think, especially, you know, comparing this to the XSR-9, I would buy this over the XSR-9 because of just that slight difference in feeling that it has to me. With all the fun, all the power. And I do love the suspension on it. They feel great. The brakes feel great. It's a great bike. It is. I definitely like it. I think a little more than that XSR-9 and the XSR-7 too. Just in terms of the performance aspects, not just the engine. Obviously, the engine is faster on this, but the brakes, the suspension, those kind of things feel slightly up-tuned from the XSR-7. And so, definitely compared to the XSR-9, I think this is the model to buy if you like the styling, obviously. That's the important thing, right, is the styling. But I think, at least personally, compared to the XSR-9, I'd buy this.